Python namespace and scope. Namespace in Python. In Python, namespace is a collection of names which holds as a mapping of every name which we have defined to corresponding objects. So objects will have different names and these names will be defined in some namespace. So different namespaces can coexist at a given time, but they are completely isolated. A namespace containing all the built-in names, it is created when you start the Python interpreter and exists as long as we don't exit from the environment. So namespace in Python can be explained using this respective diagram. So modules can have various functions and classes. A local namespace is created when a function is called which has all the names defined in it. Similarly is the case with the class also. So just see here, we are having one namespace. There is a function local namespace where all the variables, all the objects, whatever we have defined in this particular function, so they will be mapped here. And then we are having this module global namespace, and this particular function local namespace will be the part of this, and then we are having the built-in namespace for the respective application in execution. So I think for the better understanding, let us go for a practical demonstration where we will be showing you that how this namespace can be used in Python. So here is the demonstration. Identifier is nothing but one name which is simply a name given to Python objects, and you can get the address in RAM of some object through the built-in function, that is our ID. So using this ID function, we can easily get the ID of the respective identifier. So now you can get the different values of ID in our execution, whatever the ID we have written here under the comment. So A is equal to 2. So I want to print the ID of 2. I want to print the ID of A also. So see what we are doing. So here is the outcome. So the ID of 2 and ID of A both are same. You can easily find that both are same. Again, we are assigning A is equal to 2 and we are trying to print the ID of A. We are finding that this ID is also the same as we had before. Next one is that we have made A is equal to A plus 1. So A is now holding the value 3 here. So if we print the ID of A, we are finding that the ID of A has got different, and there is the ID which is different from the ID of A, whatever we got the outcome earlier. Next, ID of 3. If I print this ID of 3, I'm getting this one as 1764516064. So that means it is the same as the ID of A, because A is now holding the value 3 here. If I assign B is equal to 2, and if I want to print the ID of 2, I'm getting the same ID which we had in case of A or in case of 2 when A was having the value 2 here. So if I print the respective one, if I go on printing, say print. So if I print, I can find that the ID of 2 and ID of B both are same because B is equal to 2 has been assigned. So in this way we have discussed that what is a identifier and what is an ID. ID is nothing but one built-in function available in Python to print the respective memory address in the RAM. The address is whatever we have printed. If we execute the same code, we might be getting some different address, so that will be decided by that during the execution of my code which memory block is free, and depending upon that the memory allocation against the variables will be done by the system. Next one is the scope. So we are having this outer function, we are having this inner function, so it is also known as nested function. So global A, that means I'm defining one variable within outer function, but the scope will be global. So that's why we have used the keyword global here. This value of A has been initialized with 20. Now there is my inner function. There is a nested function which is existing inside the outer one. You can look at the indentation and you can get the idea that this particular inner function is within the outer function. Here we are defining this A, but it is not a new A, but it is a global A which we referred earlier. That A has got updated with the value of 30 and the value of A has got printed. From the outer function, this inner function, whatever we have defined just now, it has got executed, it has been called. So during execution, it will have its execution, and we are printing this value of A after exiting from the inner function within outer function. So I've written this a is equal to 10 at first. So that is the a is there. I'm printing the value of a. So it is printing 10. Now we are calling this outer function. So when the control will be going to the outer function, this a is actually the global a. That means the a which is right now holding the value 10. So that 10 has got updated with the 20, but we didn't print anything. Then the inner function will be called. So inner function is also referring the same global variable a. So this a is available in the global scope, and that a will be used in the inner function. Now a is equal to 30. Now this 30 is updating the global a scope, the a which is defined in the global scope. Now we are printing this value of a, so it is printing 30 here. After calling this inner function, again we are printing this value of a from the outer function, then it is printing 30. And after calling this outer function, if you print the value of a here, I'm getting 30 back again. So it is giving me the idea, it is giving us the idea what is the scope here, and whenever one variable is in one scope, then how to access that variable from the some inner scope using the global keyword, as we did in our coding. In this demonstration, we have discussed that how to define what is happening whenever we are defining one identifier in our Python coding. Thanks for watching this video.